Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know who's here, age, gender, where you're tuning in from, if you will. And once we do that, then just fire up if you have any questions in regards to thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, breakups, how to regain your balance, your emotional hardships, relationships, OCD, OCD subsets, intrusive thoughts, and so on and so forth. Stephen is here. Hello, Mehran. Hi, Stephen. Oops. That wasn't good. So we have Stephen says, Stephen, 44, male 44 in Los Angeles. Thank you for that. He says, just saying hello, unless something comes to mind. Okay, fair enough. And thank you very much for saying hello, for sure. Let me see if I can also have a live stream going at the same time on TikTok. All right. Although TikTok friends never ask any questions, they're just there and sometimes just trolling. There we go. There we are. So, and Rishav Raj is here. Says, how to not let bad things affect me. Bad things that you do or bad things that just happens, and what are the examples of bad things? Is something that, I don't know, you get a bad mark in your exam, or you lose your job, or somebody does something unjust to you. Give me an example. And Rishav, male 22, India. Thank you for that. And we have Stevens is staying in tonight and will probably watch a movie. Sounds about right. I was out too. I actually was doing some work, but I didn't feel like doing it at home. So I took my laptop and went in front of the ocean close to the ocean, but it's like a soccer fieldish thing. People were playing, and I was just in my car doing my stuff. Sometimes it's good to get out of home and maybe do something else. And then when you come back, you have some kind of a fresh idea about your mood is changed and so on. But I was falling asleep when every time I'm looking at my computer, if I'm editing something or if I'm arranging something, it's about to fall asleep. Anyhow, I'm working on something that you guys may benefit from, I mean, tremendously. And it's pretty exciting. So that's what I was working on. Let's say hello to our TikTok friends. We have 8 people on TikTok, and we are running a live stream simultaneously on YouTube and TikTok both. TikTok friends, we are here talking about thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego. We're talking about breakups, emotional hardships, and what is it? Swipe left? What was that? Something was telling me swipe left for, anyhow, whatever it was. Talk about emotional hardship, breakups, and how you can regain your balance and move on to bigger and better things. We also talk about OCD, OCD subsets, intrusive thoughts, and so on and so forth, including HOCD and whatnot. So if you have a question, go for it. And if you don't, well, thank you for being here. Enjoy. Stephen says from our YouTube channel, says, there's another girl at my job. I always catch her looking at me and she'll look away. Oh, she's super pretty. I need to learn how to be more charming and talkative with people. Well, you know, when you have a genuine interest and you find her cute and you approach her with respect, in other words, you want to get to know her, just like you said, well, just go and say hello. Say, hello, my name is Stephen. How's your day going? Something simple. And she said, oh, it's just all right. And I said, oh, great. I'll catch you later. I just got to go and deliver this thing or whatever it is that you do. You know, the syringe, I got to go heal someone. Something small. Don't make a conversation at the beginning. Just say hi. When you pass by, just look at her, smile, and say hi. And go. And next time you see her, then obviously you can say hi and she can say hi. So you break the ice for her. And then maybe next time you stop by and say, you know, did you see that thing in the air? And she says, what thing? She says, I'm still looking for it. Something that she laughs or something, and something simple, something silly, not too heavy. And then eventually you'll know if she's interested into you as you are or not. But what I'm trying to say is don't go in with the bouquet of flowers. Says, hello, I'm Stephen. And I think you're pretty hot. I mean, although it's good for later on, you can do that. But at the beginning, you don't want to show how interested you are. Just enough to know that she knows that you're lining up. All right. Stephen says, I feel it's always been easy to talk to a girl when you're not attracted to them. Well, yeah, but then what's the point? what do you want from her? So, but if they're really pretty, it's as if I doubt myself or they'd like me as much. Well, that's something you got to change yourself. If you think her only asset is her looks, well, then you shouldn't even be talking to her because you don't know what you're going to get. If you think her asset is a look, but you're not going to have a relationship with her looks, you're going to have a relationship with her consciousness. So you got to find out if there's enough compatibility on the consciousness level. So for that, you need to forget about how she looks, think about her as she is, a human being, and you want to see if she meets your standards or expectations. So in other words, you're not going there with a hand out and trying to get some favor. You're going there to see if she's qualified to be your friend. So, in other words, don't sell yourself short as you respect her and value her, but you also have to respect and value yourself. So, go in there, see what is she all about. And if you have something interesting, then you can say, hey, great, she's a great mind, interesting, and also pretty. Otherwise, pretty, you can't have relationship with pretty. You're having a relationship with what makes the pretty tick, and that's up here. So you got to figure that out. Until you know about that, you can't give her that much value. Otherwise, other than, well, she's pretty, and we men are designed and programmed to find that very alluring, find that very important. But your wisdom and your awareness should guide you through this negotiation rather than jumping in with head first. Chris, it says, oh, you do relationship counseling? I just had my relationship of 3 years end yesterday. Well, congratulations. It means you're headed for something bigger and better. Well, how old are you, Chris? Let me know. And how old was she? Let's see who else we have here. Vidal says, hello, doctor. I'm not the doctor. How's everything going? Thank you very much, Vidal. You sound familiar, your name. Is it just a common name, or have you seen my videos on YouTube? You all know that we have over 3,000 videos on YouTube channel, and there's all kind of videos about relationship, breakups, thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, explain all that. And OCD, components of the brain involved in the glitch of OCD, intrusive thoughts, and HOCD, and so on and so forth. Vidal is also on YouTube. That's pretty good. All right, good. And Chris in Malroy. All right. Okay, Chris, I'm still waiting for your response. Well, I'm surprised because TikTok friends actually are asking questions this time. Usually, TikTok are just watching or trolling. Chris says, I'm past my prime. Well, what does that mean? That means I'm a dinosaur then. The hell with you. Are you kidding me? I'm just at my prime. I'm approaching my prime in October. All right. Let's see. So what was it? It says, that's torture. YouTube channel name. It's The One Point. THE, next word ONE, next word point, POINT. The One Point. And Chris says, I don't think I can pull chicks like I used to. All right. First of all, sprech, let it out. How old are you? That's important for me to know. Oh, there it is. Toxic, 43. 43, you're just pretty much the same age as Steven on YouTube. And he's having the same challenge as you. But your challenges are in your head. If you don't believe me, here it is. Okay. In October, I'll be 70 years old. And when I was 58, my girlfriend was 26-year-old. So, and she picked me up. So throw this to garbage that you think, oh, it's hard to get the girls. No, in fact, at 43, 45, 50, 55, that's the age that the good, seasoned, and younger women who have already seen a bit of the rodeo and they didn't like it and they're looking for something genuine and serious are interested in men who have some experience. They've gotten their shit together, they've got some money, they've got some domain, and they have some investments, or they have some kind of a lifestyle. And as you know, women are one of the criteria they're looking at in men is if they can provide. Whether they have a good job or not themselves, educated or not themselves, they're looking for someone who can have the propensity or gravitation or ability to provide, should that become necessary. Because eventually most women at the age that you guys are, So your women would be something between 30 and 40. Eventually, they may want to have children, and they want to know if this guy can take care of the burden of the breadwinner. So, and you too, and many people, many men in that age group are prime for women who are beautiful, take care of themselves, they're fit, and they're looking for a substance. And when I was at your age, there were lots of women that would find that interaction positive. Just don't lose yourself to be an asshole. Be a gentleman, be genuine, don't use anybody. Go in with good intentions. If it worked out, great. If it didn't work out, break up later. But your intention, your energy should be positive and genuinely want to get to know that person, that girl, that woman. And then you'll see how it goes. You will not have a problem to attract women toward yourself at your age. You guys, unfortunately, you're comparing yourself, your age today, 43, 44, to when you were 20, 25, and 30, and you think that was hot. No, at age 20 to 30, uh, definitely 20 to 25, 26, women don't take you that seriously. Only that bracket of women who are not even mature enough would find to attractive to be your girlfriend because they don't know anything themselves. Because at age 20 to 30, you're beginning to get to know yourself. At age 20 to 25, 26, you hardly know who you are, and let alone knowing what kind of women you want. And the women of that age hardly know who they are and hardly know, let alone knowing what kind of a man they want, what kind of character. But when they get to 30 and you're now 43 or 44, your woman would be 30, 32, and so on, or 28. These women already have gotten to know something about themselves. And they have certain kind of standards and looking for something of substance. They're looking for 43, 44, 50 years old. They're not looking for 20 years old. They're not looking for two. So don't consider you have a competition. You're at the top of the chain of the competition. That's what they're actually looking for. So don't tell me that you have a hard time to pull chicks. Past your prime. You know, everybody who on YouTube who knows me, they know I have an ugly stick. It's right on that corner. The ones who don't take care of themselves and put themselves down, I get that ugly stick and get on a plane and come and beat you guys on the head. So don't do that. AI says emotional rescue hour. Okay. Chris says, I'm in. What are you in for, Chris? All right. Let's see what we have in here. So Vidal has given the channel a super chat. Thank you very much for Vidal to support the channel. I appreciate that. So let's see what Vidal has to say. Traditionally, I'm supposed to go to the one who has this ritual with YouTube, and we have a super chat. We just forget about the lineup. We'll go to that. It says, gotta admit, your advices changed my point of view of everything when we had our session. I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you a lot, doctor. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I always correct everyone who calls me doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical degrees. My research is independent. After university, my studies, my research, my interest was into thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, the inner movement of the psyche. And so I had to figure out things. And of course, throughout my life, I've had many experiences and many understanding of the movement of the psyche. And then I can incorporate it into understanding the relationships and the breakups and how we can get out of that what we're sitting in and sulking about it. And that's because we understand how the brain works. And of course, the neuroscience and neurosurgery and experiences of these experts in regards to its relationship to OCD and so on, and what are the components of the brain involved in that glitch. So that's why I know certain things, but I'm not having any medical credentials. Let's make that clear. And Chris says, subscribes to your YouTube. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you, Chris. And so you guys know, for the ones who know, in fact, just about, a few hours ago, one of my sessions was with someone across the world, and we have a site that you can go on and look at the audiobooks and things that I have put together. And you can also look at the books I've written. You can also make an appointment for a one-on-one session in regards to what's concerning you, one-on-one on Skype, or now it's going to be changed to Team, I guess, automatically. So you can do that. That's your option. Or you can come to the live streams if it's more convenient financially. And to some extent, I can't go through the whole long explanation of your questions, but to some extent, we can alleviate some of the challenges that we might have on the spot. Otherwise, the site and the appointments are always there for you. That's what I do for whoever needs it from all around the world. And Chris is subscribed to. Okay, yeah, thank you very much again for that. And let's see. Harry Worley from TikTok says, how do you deal with intrusive thoughts that you know you'll never do and make you uncomfortable? All right. Are you talking about sexual orientation OCD? Or are you talking about harm OCD? What kind of intrusive thoughts? Don't worry about it. It's not about there's something wrong with you. It's the brain. It's the same brain that we all have. And we all have something wrong with the brain. It's not functioning necessarily as it was designed. Why? Very simple. It's an item in the making. It's not a complete thing. We human beings have lived for millions of years, maybe, but we never had this brain until 40,000 years ago. So until then, we were living on instinct, like animals: run, hunt, sleep, have sex, and we had no intrusive thoughts whatsoever. Very little psychological problem. Why? Because psychological problem, the roots of psychological problem in most cases are thoughts. They're all thought-based, most of it. And we got this psychological problem since we got this brain, which was only 40,000 years ago. Before that, was very little of that, if any. It was maybe biological problem that would, like the person was deformed or just crazy. But not like us normal people who have psychological problems, and they need to understand that. 40,000 years ago, the brain had developed to a part that was able to speak and think. Before that, there was no thinking ability. There was no speaking. The words didn't have meanings, and the thoughts were not formed in the way that we can think today. So there was no psychological problem to the extent that we have today, as far as the movement of the psyche, not the physical psychological problems, such as the damage to the head and so forth. So now we are able to think, and the thought is what is the root of all these psychological problems. That's why we need to be open about it and talk about it and understand that we all have this glitch. The psyche of all human beings is the same. It's the same type of brain, same machine put into everybody's brain. And they all have the same glitches, different ways. I had OCD since childhood, all kinds of it, for God's sake. And I never knew an epsilon of what I know today, because we just thought, okay, I have an OCD, wash my hands so many times, or line up things like that. And then it developed to other things which we didn't know what, and we thought we got to endure it. But then later on, research and study, we found out that this is something that has to do with the amygdala, overactiveness of the amygdala, striatum, midbrain, basal ganglia. There's striatum. There are 3 centers there. There is goal finding center, reward center, and there is habit center. They're all connected. So every time you do a compulsion for obsession, you actually are stimulating the dopamine center, the reward center. And after a while, you're not doing a compulsion for the obsession, you're doing it to get the dopamine, because that's addictive. And at all times, you're stimulating the habit center. So after a while, what you're doing in the form of OCD, it's your habit. You don't even remember why you're doing it. You just feel, I got to do it to feel comfortable. So these are all connected. And once you understand this, you understand that it can be fixed. Hmm? So, so Harry, having said all that, where are we? Are you going to give me an example, or should I move on to our YouTube friends? All right. Until Harry thinks and digests what we talked about, we go to Steven says, "You're making me laugh with your scenarios." Yeah, you should laugh, because if a dinosaur like me can still attract women, younger women, 20, 30 years younger than myself, and not by being a devious person, but just being myself and understanding their needs and understanding their psyche and being pleasant and being real, you guys are in far better situation. Yeah. So don't knock yourself down on that. David Blake says 31 male Australia. Oh my goodness. I just had a client in Australia, not just, about 5.5 hours ago. So we're in Australia, David. Says I've been married for 4 years. However, I'm finding myself having strong sexual urges for other women. For other women I come across. I love my wife, but I can't help this. What can I do to stop this? Well, this is not something sinful. This is not something that you should be feeling guilty about. We are men, and we are made by the Almighty, however you want to call it, universe, nature, God, whatever you believe in, for procreation. We were not given the wisdom of rituals or rules or faithfulness. In the old times, man sees a woman, and that happens, and there was no morality, there was no rules, there were no society, acceptance or inacceptance. It was just like animals. I mean, have you seen horses, a mare and a stallion, kind of worry about, what am I going to do? Bring flowers? None of that existed. In the old times for us, that didn't exist either. There were no flowers, there were no seeing the parents, and it was just, that. So what I'm trying to get at, I'm not saying that go all out and do whatever the hell you want to do, because you're now living in a society which has certain expectations, and you've accepted to abide by that. That's why you got married. But you still cannot take that urges away, because that's part of your gene. That's what part of your makeup. We men were made for procreation. That's why our interest and our hunger for women will never go away. Whether you have 2 girlfriends, 3 girlfriends, or you're coming from countries who are able to have 4 wives. That interest does not die down, because you're programmed to have that interest for every woman that you find attractive to you, according to your standards. What you need to do, not to expect yourself to think that this is a sin. You understand that this is part of you, and you will find certain reasons, maybe biological reasons or psychological reasons, to adhere to the rules that you've promised to your wife. And of course, as you know, there are other ways that you can get that urge out, which I'm sure you were expert in it when you were in your teens, before you knew, you can actually ask a girl out. But in Australia, you're not going to be facing with the favorable votes or understanding from your wife. So in some countries like Japan, this is understood. Women understand that the men have that need, and if they want to have their men in good mood and so on, and being kinder and nicer and more, gravitate toward them, they accept that they can have a side game. But this is something that you got to solve in your own mind by Either talking to your wife about it and say, look, what do you want me to do? To constantly wish that I would have that opportunity and my eyes run after, or would you be okay if I would have some experience, sexual experience, without getting involved emotionally? And I don't know if you can have sexual uh, experience with another woman without being emotionally involved. Some people can, some people can't. And the ones who think they can, they eventually end up emotionally getting involved because we're men, we're protective. We like to protect women. We end up feeling responsible for them. And even though you think you can do it, but you will get hooked on feeling some kind of a responsibility or some kind of a possessive nature. And that's not going to be healthy. So let's look at the two channels of it, two branches of it. If you decide this, what happens? If you decide that, what happens? If you decide to go along and have a fling with some women because you say you really have that urge, well, let's say, okay, that's the plan, go for it. Because you think that's the urge you have. If you're satisfied, it'll go away. Lo and behold, that fling after a while is going to look like the same feeling you have towards your wife. You love your wife, but you want to have another one. And with this one, you like her and you enjoy her, but you want to have another one because this feeling is not going to be limited to number, one or two or three. So you're going to have another one. And then you're going to have another one. Then you're going to have another one. Eventually, you'll be so distracted and your attention and emotions would be so branched out that you will neglect the love for the woman that you promised to get married and you wanted her more than anybody else in the world. That's why you got married with her. And before you know it, while you're going after your urge, trade off. You're going to lose this foundation, the one with your wife. One scenario. The other scenario is that if you just simply see where it's going to go and just try it once, and you will judge how you feel after that. Is it something you want to continue, or you feel full of guilt and in a way not satisfactory as a man that you are for the promise that you have given to your wife, and that might keep you away from going. But if you can live with it by trying and see how it goes, but make sure you don't end up catching anything to deliver it to your wife, that's your responsibility. Well, if something you cannot stop and you cannot find a remedy for it, oh, you're 31-year-old. Jesus Christ, I didn't see that. When did you get married? 4 years ago. 20. Well, that's the problem. When you get married too early, that's how you're going to feel because you feel, oh, I'm losing out. There's so many other ones. But the funny thing is that even if you were 40 or 50, you might still feel the same way until you get to the age that, or because a few more years passes, you'll get so close to your wife and the foundation will be so strong that you'll just feel uncomfortable and find it betrayal to even attempt it, and you will deal with your urges without actually acting on it. So take your pick. If you do this one, it will never end and you're going to lose your marriage. If you not do it, you'll always wish that you had the chance, and you're going to start resenting your woman because you think she's the problem. But in fact, it's your desire for pleasure, your ego. That's the culprit. The third way is just try it once, making sure it's all protected, and you'll see it'll never be as delicious as it is with your wife because you have no barriers in your brain when you're with your wife. You're not feeling about the consequence. You're not feeling about guilt. You're not feeling about cheating. You're not feeling about anything. And pretty soon, if you do it once, you'll say, okay, shit, I never want to do this again. And then, of course, knowing you can't hold it. And you're going to tell your wife, darling, I did this. And she's going to get upset. She wants to divorce because she has her pride. So if you now look at the whole scene, do you like the scene that you see? Do you like this movie? Or you say, fuck it, I'll just do it the way I used to do it when I was 18 years old. Because if you get married, it's a serious thing, right? She has feelings too. How do you feel if she would do that? You feel really left out. You feel really, like something wrong with you, right? Why does she prefer that one? So I really don't have a good answer for you, because that's an answer that you can decide within the options. I can only give you options, and then responsibility of taking the action on any of these options is on you. I hope that is helpful to you. At least I could maybe draw that picture for you, and you decide if it's something that you want to attempt or not. Sometimes, and you say, what can I do to stop this? So it's not necessarily that you want to do it to stop it. You just want to know how to stop it. Well, you never know. The woman that you seem to be interested, it could be a piece of shit. It just looks nice. There are all kind of weird things and behavior or values, and because the one that you have, you bonded unconsciously. You knew her for a while. You loved how she thought, how she treated you, and you guys bonded on the content of your consciousness. But these other ones are just physical attraction. It's lust. It's not love. It's lust. And behind that lust, which is very easy for us men to have it, for any woman, pretty much, as long as we find something pretty about them or sexy about them. But behind that, there could be garbage in here and headaches and all kind of shit that you say, I don't even want, I tell you a story with all these women that you actually think, oh my God, I wish she was my wife, or wow, she's so. I tell you a story. It was many, many years ago, 30 years ago. And in my industry at the time, there was this woman. She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. She had everything: hair, nose, eyes, teeth, lips, height, outgoing personality, and everything else. It was moral. The hell with them. She was beyond moral. But I never mentioned anything. First of all, I would take clients to her business and her, project, and the main reason was she was married. So I never brought anything other than the business or hello, how are you, and things like that. 2 years passed, and every once in a while, clients, due to the business, I could see her in her place of business, the project, and we would chat for a bit, or for the purpose of that transaction. And 2 years passed, she comes along and says, I'm divorced. So naturally, I remember in my mind, I said, oh God, thank God. But I said, oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. She said, no, it's okay. I said, no, I'm really sorry. But in my heart, I said, oh God. So anyhow, so we talked a little bit more from then on. And one day I was sitting in somewhere where my son was very little, and I was divorced, of course, many years. And he was playing in something like a playground, and she had her daughter playing. And I was sitting somewhere and reading my book. She approached me, and I could see it from the corner of my eye. Somebody's coming in, and I noticed it's her. And she said, hello, I'm talking. And she said, look, I want to give you my phone number. I said, okay. Where's the lottery ticket? So anyway, I got the phone number. And I called her, and we talked for a bit. And then I asked her, if you like to go to dinner and a movie. And she, of course, had that intention, and she accepted. So I went and picked her up. And we had a nice restaurant reserved and a movie in mind. And I picked her up. We went to the restaurant. And this girl was a girl I had never seen anything more beautiful in my life. The moment she opened her mouth, the first thing, we sat at the table, the moment she opened her, I lost all interest. Boom. It happens. The energy, the flow, the consciousness, the values. And then after that, as I had promised, we went to the movie. She put her head on my shoulder and it was very cozy. But when I took her home, I usually kiss my date's cheek, thank her. Didn't even feel like doing that. That was the last time I went out with her. So what I'm trying to tell you through this story, a true story, is that the women that you see out there, that you feel the urge that they are this and that, they're not. You are giving an image in your mind about her that is not about her. It's just about your need and your desire for her to be that kind of person, but they're not. And you fall in love with that image that you've given that person in your mind about her. And then you think that's her. Then you have the urge, I gotta have her, I'm in love with her. But in fact, her personality and her real energy could be something that repels you, even though she's as beautiful as the one I explained, I described. So don't be fooled that your eyesight, seeing the symmetric and the aesthetics of beauty of a woman, is a representation of what that woman really represents and is and her values. So on that note, you can use this as, okay, she's pretty, whatever. Okay, what's the end of it? I'll go, I'll date her, I spend money and whatever, and then we get naked and we go at it. Then what? Then what? Do I want to leave my wife? No, not in a million years. Is she going to be okay with that, this new one? No, she wants something. What does she want? I can't give her that. So why am I going there to something that I don't even know how it's put together, how it's going to function, and I'm just going to go after my thingy? This is going to think for me and my life and decide? No. My awareness, my wisdom, my experience, my expectations, my standards of quality will decide. And my decision would be, she's pretty, she's gorgeous. And the maximum I'm going to do, I'm going to be one of these nights alone with myself and her in my mind. I'm going to do what I do when I was 19 years old, and that's the end of it. I'm going to attend to my wife, and I'll be happier with myself. Because I should have bloody thought that I'm marrying a woman for life. Whether you marry her or not, this urge for about many women continues. So someday you got to stop it. Doesn't matter if you're married or not. What are you going to do? Run after every girl? Then you're going to be controlled, and you don't have a control in your life. That's the end of this discussion for here at this moment. All right. Now, so we have a question here. Hi from Vancouver, Bonita. Hello, Bonita. And Amil Swan says, hey, sir, my first experience with HOCD, I didn't have checking and avoidance behavior. Is it still OCD? Look, it's something that you don't prefer. It's not about you. It's not your choice. It's not your pleasure or personal taste. It's not your inclination. Then it doesn't matter if it has this avoidance or not. So it's OCD because it has nothing to do with that. The checking or avoidance or whatnot and so forth. And having OCD, it's an honorable thing. It's not like a shameful thing. It's OCD. We all have some kind of OCD. One leads to another one. I had all kind of OCDs ever since childhood. Jesus. Look this way, make a noise, wash my hands. But because I had a strong mind, I beat it by brute of sticking to my roots and so on and so forth. Now, HOCD is different, but when HOCD hits, you deal with it the way you should be dealing with it, just like the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz. And everyone anyone who has an appointment with me, I'll include that 4 Steps of Dr. Schwartz PDF, so you can always have it handy. And otherwise, I have a video on the Dr. Schwartz 4 Step. It's about 21 minutes. I've explained it. And so you can go on my channel, find that, and enjoy it. So HOCD comes in different shapes, and none of them really mean anything. The topic of HOCD does not matter. The fact that it's a glitch of the brain, it's a malfunction of the signaling system of the brain. It's got nothing to do with you. And the first thing you got to realize in order to overcome HOCD or understand it is that you're not the brain, and brain is not you. It's two different independent systems. So if something shows up on the screen of your head, that doesn't mean it's you. That doesn't mean it knows something about you that you don't. It doesn't mean it's a signal or it's a message. It has nothing to do with that. It's a glitch of the signaling system of the brain. Why? Because until 40,000 years ago, we didn't have this brain. This is an addition, and like any other machine electrical component, goes berserk, malfunctions. Now you got to learn how to rewire it by the way you react to these thoughts. The way you react to these intrusive thoughts is the way it reconditions the brain to continue making these thoughts or know how to deal with this so you won't freak out every time that comes up. The main problem with people for OCD and HOCD, specifically HOCD, is that they believe their brain. They think they're the brain and the brain is them. I have a video on my channel, it's about 45 minutes. It talks about dualism and materialism. And it brings you back to 1,000 years ago where Aristotle was talking about his philosophy, and the dualists and the materialists were talking about atoms are void, or the dualists were saying there's something beyond the brain, until the modern science have proven beyond the shadow of the doubt that you're not the brain and brain is not you. And in that particular video, I have experiences that Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, Dr. Leibe, these are experts and neurosurgeons and neuroscientists that explain their expertise and experiences, and they prove beyond the shadow of the doubt that you're not the brain, brain is not you. So the brain's glitch has got nothing to do with your orientation. You just have to learn how to rewire it and help it to come to its default setting. It's a lot discussion about that, but unfortunately we can't go through the whole course. Now, there's 3,000 videos, about 700 video of it. 762 videos are on HOCD and OCD. And of course, there are about 1,000 live streams that they mostly have HOCD topics in them. So you have all kinds of information here that can help you to get. And if you needed more, go on my site, mind@seekstruth.com, and you can click on appointments, make an appointment with me, and we'll discuss what's concerning you one-on-one on Skype. Now, let's see if I have, what else do you have here? Venezuelan in Canada. I had some friends from Venezuela in my university. I went to university in the States, and we had many at the time who were in our university as well. And thank you, Eduardo. Let's see if you have anything here that needs my attention. Why HOCD feels so real? Because, very good question. Because brain can't tell the difference between virtuality and actuality. That's why if you do this with me, all of you, and let's just examine something. Just close your eyes and imagine you're part of a tourist group going to France. And the tour guide picks you all up from your hotels, and in a bus, you all go to vineyards outside of Paris. outside, parts of the France that the vineyards are. And it's out of season. So in the vineyard, you can't find real grapes. They're all green and sour like hell. And he gives a cluster of sour grapes to every one of you just to have the local taste of when they become grapes. And you all bite into these sour green grapes, and it's so sour. And then he chases it with a lime, gives you a half a lime, every one of you squeeze it in your mouth. Now, if you notice right now, many of you have saliva in your mouth, but there has been no green grape here. There has been no sour grape. There have been no lime. But your brain has the power to react to this idea as if there was an actuality. Because the brain itself lives in a virtuality. When the ideas and thoughts show up, it doesn't need a physical activity or actuality to feel what is real, what is not real. It reacts in the same way pretty much as if you had a sour grape in your hand and you would bite into it, or you would focus on that scenario that I told you. Brain lives in virtuality. So anything virtual for it is as real as the brain itself is. So to the brain, the reaction to things, the things doesn't need to be actual. It will react to it just like you would react actually, while the whole idea, the whole thing is fictitious and it's just virtual. It's made out of the same thing that the brain is functioning in, virtuality. So it believes virtuality to be actuality. That's why it feels so real, but none of it is actually real, because you got to understand your mind and body. The two main components of our existence in this world is one mind and one body. So both have to be coordinated for you to be experiencing reality and actuality. So the brain can go fuck itself because it cannot fool you, because you know better, because the jig is up. You're not the brain and brain is not you. All right. I hope that helps you out. Let's go to and Harry says, I have OCD too. I've watched many of your videos and I really appreciate your help. My pleasure, my pleasure. Delighted that you shared that with us. All right. Let's go to YouTube and let's see what do we have. What have we left here? And we have what? Lacona. Sounds Hawaiian, is it? Says, I've never heard you talk before, but you and I are on the same wavelength. All right. Says, you represent solid logic. You've got a positive personality. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from, so I know how far I'm reaching out, and what your background is. That'll be great. And Slobodan is here, says, hello, Mehran. Slobodan 24, Belgrade. How are you? Thank you very much, Slobodan. Good of you to be here. And Rashav says, that happens in the world, or with me, like negative people or things, I just get fear, like this says to me, what if this thing you do or happen with you? Well, you are reacting to a non-existent experience because you're choosing to go in the past, perceiving something happened, which is not being suggested to you by a brain or somebody as an idea. And because you have example in your memory, whether it's on TV you saw it or you heard it from someone in the story, so you can perceive the event that is being suggested to you as part of a memory of some kind of information that you gathered somehow. But in that memory that you're gathering, that perception, it's a place that doesn't exist. Everything is dead. But you're bringing that doesn't exist, that which doesn't exist, into the present moment, and you treat it as if it's real. That's why you react in reality. When you react as the result of this idea that you brought it from non-existence and believe it's here, and therefore once you believe it's here, the brain doesn't know the difference between virtuality and actuality, so makes your body to react as if it's an actual thing. And because your body reacts, you take that reaction of body as an evidence that the thought, the suggestion was correct. Did you get me? The whole thing is fictitious, doesn't exist. Either happened in the past, or you go get a perception of the idea that is being suggested to you, whether by your brain or somebody out there, or it's a projection of something that may happen in the future, which the future itself that you think it's going to happen, that thing is going to happen, and it doesn't exist, hasn't even come yet. The past is dead. None of them exist. But you take an idea, bring it into present, and then you believe and fearfully, and the brain doesn't tell the difference between virtuality and reality, so reacts to it. And this reaction is physical. And this physical reaction behaves as an evidence to you, acts as an evidence to you that what you conjured up or what was suggested that doesn't exist, the time of it doesn't exist, either dead or non-existence, is real. And then on that basis, you start frightening. Because there is no such thing as fear. Fear is the result of comparing what it was to what it is, what it may be. Let's say there's no time, I can't speak, it's 1,000,000 years ago, and I had a stomachache. Time is dark, sunshine is not there, so I can't say night or day, I just say that I can see it's dark, and I have a tummy ache. Now, the tummy ache went away. It was a bad tummy ache. Tummy ache went away. Now it's a light time, daytime, but it's light. I don't know it's daytime. 1,000,000 years ago, I didn't know better. So it's a different time as it was when I had the tummy ache. But I say, when it was dark, I had a tummy ache. It's not dark now. Will I have a tummy ache? When it will be dark later on, if it's going to be dark, am I going to have pain? So compared to what it was, to what it is. So I had pain when it was dark. I'm okay now. I don't have pain. But when later on, will I have pain? So when I compare what it was to what it is, what it could be, I'm creating fear. Because in reality, other than the reality of a wild animal attacking you or a truck about to hit you, there's no fear. The fear is all created in here. When you compare what it was to what it is, what it will be, or to create a belief out of something that doesn't exist, but you react to it as if it exists because the brain can't tell the difference between virtuality and actuality. And that reaction to what you're thinking is physical, like you get shivers or you feel tightened, and these reactions become an evidence that what you're thinking can actually happen, or it's real. Then you become fearful and anxious. All right, let's see. So Rashid, I hope that helps you out. Leo the Lion. 32 male. Leo, 32 male where? Let me know where. Says, hello, Mehran. Long time no see. Just wanted to say hi and happy to see you. Wishing you well, and hopefully you have been good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been doing my things, and mom is in care center. She's about 92 years old, so I go see her every day, every single day, other than these days that there's something gastrointestine bacteria, something in the center, so they won't let anyone come out of their rooms. They eat in their rooms, and sometimes I ask the lady I've hired to be companion to my mom, to bring her out in the sunshine, so I go see her because I can't go in. Usually it's a one visitor for each person, so I limit that, and until that's lifted, and then I can go back in again. So that's part of my ritual, and then of course, feel sad seeing mom. Used to be so beautiful and fresh, and management of our home for all these years, all things she's done for us. And I feel sad seeing her like that. She hardly remembers me. She gets happy to see me, but she doesn't remember pretty much anything. And then I go to the gym to bring my mood up, and then do my work and appointments and so on and so forth. So same old, same old. Leo. All right, let's go. And Rishabh says, I just want to enjoy and live my life as I want. Everybody does it. Everybody who's dealing with OCD and HOCD does that and wants that. And I can't blame you, because it hit me too at age, I don't know, 60 something. And it was crazy. But for me, it wouldn't make a difference because I was old school, strong minded, strong rooted, and it just wouldn't comply to any of these ideas or images to have anything to do with me. It would annoy me, but I would not associate it with me while I was being annoyed all the time, because there was intrusive thoughts, there were images, and constantly, and just, terrible. And I knew nothing of what I know. So by brute force, I created things which later on, when I talked to experts and worldly experts, and he said, you actually did what we call this. So I came up with these things, these processes, without knowing the techniques. And I was able to somehow, it disappeared. But it took about a year and a half. It was awful. It usually happens when there's stresses in life and so on and so forth. And none of them is real. You just have to stick your ground and know about your roots and your preferences. And remember, always, you live with your choices and vetoes. The brain is not you, you're not the brain. It can never make you change to something that you've never been, you never want to be, you don't prefer, and that's not your values, your preferences. All right, having said all that, Stephen says, anytime I'm feeling a certain way, listening to you always sets my mind straight. Well, delighted to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. Slobodan says, couldn't focus on fully things because anxiety caused of this. Yeah, well, you got to learn when you have, everybody remember, when you have anxiety, something makes you anxious, do a simple thing right away, wherever you are. You do a double breathe, hold, and slowly let it out. So it will look like this. And breathe normally. And then you can do it again. And then breathe normally again. So 1, 1 more time. The first thing that this does, slows your mind and everything else. And when you do this practice, takes the thoughts out of the brain becomes empty. And that's what you need in order to rejuvenate and regain your balance. In Aikido, we have this exercise called Misugi, Bell Misugi, which every year our masters would arrange a setting that everybody would sit on their knees, you know, Caesar, and the bells would ring. And when the bells would ring, and there are all kinds of thoughts in everybody's brain, but when the bells would ring, you follow the sound of the bell, and there would be a mantra that you would say, which actually means nothing. There's no meaning into it. Just meant, universe, the treasure universe, give me the treasure universe, something like that, one with the universe. And what happened? Do the slide thingy. Okay. I don't know what happened. Why is it stopping here? Live will end in 3-4 minutes. You have detected inactivity. What do you mean inactivity? I'm active here. What are you talking about? What do you want? Drag the slider to fit the puzzle. The slider, oh, I see. I see. All right. Again, Jesus. All right. Finally. Okay, we're back. So, what was I saying? And then we would chant with the bell. So bells were ringing. A few of the students were holding the bell in different corners of the class. So they're all belling unison. And the speed of the bell would also regulate the speed of the chant. So whatever it was that we were saying, we would say it with this. And when the bells would ring faster, we would say it faster. Faster, 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 slow, slow, slow for a while, faster. So what for about an hour, the bell ringing and the chanting, everybody together, like 30, 40 people. And when it would end, and you're sitting on your knees, you're hurting. It's painful when you're not used to it. And you're chanting and so on. And to the point that you will not necessarily be focused on the pain because you're learning to focus on what you're supposed to focus through the pain. It's a exercise to start the new year with focus and intention to accomplish what you want to accomplish in that year. So when it all ends and finishes, there is nothing in your head. Intrusive thoughts? Are you kidding? There's no thought in there. It's the first time you realize you're free in every way if you have any kind of OCD or whatever else. And it's perfectly clear, no thought whatsoever, nothing, which is beautiful. It's so powerful. You feel one with the nature. You feel one with the whole existence of energy of the universe. It's an amazing feeling. And it starts the backbone for achievements you want to do in that year. And that was a very effective and positive practice we would do when I was in university, and our Aikido masters would arrange it every year. And I did that for my students later on. And then there is waterfall musugi, which is very cold in the winter. We go into the mountain and find the waterfall that has just been, the ice has been melted and it's waterfall again, and we'll do the same thing, meditate and keep focus and go into the water and let the body shake until it settles down, or keeping your mind and body coordinated. And then that also gives you that gusto, that power to go through the year and the challenges. So, and we have David says, thanks, Miran. I took a lot of your advice here. I appreciate it. Wonderful. And Liam Edmond is here. Liam's 24, Toronto. Oh, a Torontonian, Canadian. Says, hey, Miran, did you change my name? Miran? At least thank you for not calling me moron. That's fine. So I'm concerned that I'm dating a girl and want to marry her, but she'll want kids and I don't. Listen, you don't want kids now because you're 24-year-olds. You've got no business to have kids. But when you marry her, if you really guys into each other, love each other, and she's qualified, you're qualified, you have a job and all that so forth, and you've taken care of your lives, you're not in any trouble and whatnot. When you marry her, you don't have to have kids right away. Maybe 2, 3 years. You have your own fun together and travel or do work or build something, a foundation. Then eventually, so you can't say no because I don't want it. You don't want it now, and that's correct. You shouldn't be wanting it now. And tell her, why don't we get engaged for a year or two and see how we deal with each other, and then we get married. By then you're 26-year-old, you can say, well, maybe I want kids right now. But it's not written in stone. She may change her mind. You may change your mind. So don't deal with it in such a dogmatic way. In the Leganes, here's 28 male London. It says, hello, Mehran. I hope you are well. Been single for over 2 years now. Dating has been slow, and sometimes I compare and think of my past relationships to my current state. Yeah, so what? Sometimes you go through dry season, or we don't feel like it, or we don't find a qualified woman, qualified mate, and so be it. That's all right. Don't sell yourself short. Until you find someone of quality meeting your standards, just don't. Risha says, please read my question. I did. I already did and responded. So, all right. So let's see if you have anything here. Uh-huh. All right. Queen says what? Leela says... Leela, are you pulling my leg, or it's a true story? Leela says, I have some chocolate, but my cousin sat on my last chocolate, and now I have no chocolate. All right, and I'm sorry for that, and thank you for sharing that. And Salar Saleh says, watching from prison, what's good? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Salar, I don't know what that means. Watching from prison, what's good? Okay. Queen B123, come on, Salar, are you joking around? Says, I have that going on, can't wait till Tuesday, no matter what happens. Queen, what are you talking about? I don't have any message from Queen to know what's going on Tuesday. All right. Okay, I don't know. There's nothing here. Okay. Jaya Hadeno joined. Welcome. All right, let's see what we have here in YouTube. Well, guys, I think it's been 1 hour, 21 minutes. I think I've answered all the questions that I could come across. It's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving the opportunity to share a thing or two. I got to do some editing and some videos and do some preparation for some exciting thing that I'm making for use of my clients for breakups and OCD and intrusive thoughts and HOCD challenges. And so I got to do some work. So it's time for me to say, have a wonderful evening. And thank you very much. And thank you for being here and sharing this hour with me. I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com, making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.